Dear students, if you want to study any subject, reading is very important to understand that subject. Reading makes man perfect, as well as reading help us to understand the text. Hence, students, here we are going to study the first lesson of Environmental Studies, Part 1, Standard 5. Before studying it, it is must to read it to understand. So here, let's start with reading the first lesson. Lesson number 1, our Earth and our solar system. When we look up from an open ground, we see the sky. In a clear night sky, we can see many stars. They are very far away from the Earth. Some stars are prominent while some are tiny and faint. If we look at them carefully, we find that many of them twinkle but some do not. The sun and the moon are comparatively close to the earth, so we can see their round shapes clearly. The sun, the moon, the stars, the planets, etc., are all known as heavenly bodies. Try this. Observe the sky on 2 clear nights, keeping a gap of about a week between them. Base your observation on the following points: the brightness of the heavenly bodies, whether they twinkle, their color and size, changes in their position. On both nights, draw a picture of the illuminated portion of the moon and note how it changes from day to day. Stars. The heavenly bodies that twinkle are called stars. Stars have their own light. The sun is a star. It is closer to us than any of the other stars. Hence, it appears big and brilliant in its bright light. During the day, we cannot see other stars. Planets. The heavenly bodies that do not twinkle are called planets. Planets do not have light of their own. They get light from the stars. Planets revolve around a star even as they rotate around themselves. The solar system. Our Earth is a planet. It gets its lights from the sun. It moves around the sun. Its movement around the sun is called the revolution of the Earth. Besides Earth, there are 7 other planets that revolve around the sun. They are Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Every planet in the solar system revolves around the sun along a specific path. This path is known as that planet's orbit. The sun, which is a star, and the planets that revolve around it are together called the solar system. Besides the planet, the solar system also includes various other heavenly bodies. Other heavenly bodies in the solar system. Satellites. Some heavenly bodies revolve around planets. These are called satellites. Satellites to get their light from the sun. We see the moon at night. It revolves around the earth. Hence, it is called a satellite of the earth. Most of the planets in the solar system have satellites. The planets revolve around the sun along with their satellites. Dwarf planets. There are some smaller heavenly bodies that revolve around the sun. They are called dwarf planets. Of these, the most well known is Pluto. Dwarf planets revolve independently around the sun. They have an orbit of their own. Asteroids. Between the planets Mars and Jupiter, there is a band of numerous small heavenly bodies. They are called asteroids. Asteroids also revolve around the sun. Compared to the sun, other heavenly bodies in the solar system are much smaller. The moon is closest to the earth. That is why it appears to so big, although it is actually very much smaller than the sun. A diagram of the solar system is given below. In it, you see the sun in the center, the heavenly bodies that revolve around it, and the orbits. The planets, satellites, dwarf planets, and asteroids are all part of the solar system. Can you tell? Look at the picture of the solar system and answer the following questions. 1. Which planet is nearest to the sun? Second, at what position is the earth from the sun? Third, which planet is placed between the earth and Mercury? Fourth, name the planets beyond the orbit of Mars in serial order. Fifth, which planet is furthest from the sun? Gravity. All heavenly bodies exert a force of attraction or a pull on one another. This force is called the force of gravity. The sun exerts a gravitational pull on all planets, whereas the tendency of the planets is to move away from the sun. As a result of these two forces, a planet keeps revolving around the sun at a fixed distance, in a fixed orbit. In the same way, satellites revolve around their planets. In which direction do these things fall? 1. Leaves, flowers, fruits from a tree. 2. Rocks that come loose from a hillside. 3. Rain falling from the sky. Due to the earth's gravity, all things on the earth remain on it. Even if we throw something upward with great force, it finally falls down to the ground. A new word, space. The emptiness between and beyond the stars and planets is called space or outer space. People have always been curious about the heavenly bodies in the sky. They have always wanted to reach them. However, to send some objects from the earth into space, it must give one power against the force of gravity. Rocket technology or space launch technology is used for that purpose. One of the Diwali firecrackers is called a rocket. It is packed with explosive substances. The explosives burn rapidly and produce a lot of energy. The design of the rocket is such that the firecracker is pushed in a certain direction at great speed. Very powerful rockets are used to send a spacecraft into space. A tremendous quantity of fuel is burned in rockets so that spacecraft weighing thousands of tons can be launched into space. In the 20th century, a few countries of the world developed space technology and sent hundreds of spacecraft into space. Our country is well known for the development of its space launch technology. Some spacecraft remain in space, some are brought back to the Earth, while some land on other planets or satellites. In some missions, scientists also travel in the spacecraft. They are called astronauts. Do you know Indian astronaut? Rakesh Sharma became the first Indian astronaut to go into space in 1984. He spent 8 days on a space station for a joint mission of ISRO and the Soviet Intercosmos. Seeing India from space, he said that it looked सारे जहां से अच्छा. Students, have you listened to it carefully? Very good. The remaining part of this text we shall read in the next period. Okay, students? Now, students, you can try to read at your own with the help of your parents. Okay? So, just read it out aloud first and then in mind.